Alright, it's time to start monkeying around. We got Ratified. I have not driven this since it was first put into like the 3.0 super test. And it was really bouncy and unfinished at that time, so I haven't actually touched it since then. Generally in this sort of game, like, I personally feel that I'll drive a car once, and if it's a poor start, like the first experience isn't good, I probably won't come back to that car. So it's very good that I now have the opportunity to come back to all these cars and check them out. Oh, that was close. Honestly, this thing's a bit slow, but it handles quite nicely. I'm not opposed to its handling. I just wish that it would go a little faster. I feel like this car should be a lot faster, a lot more glass cannon. You know, good speed, but whew, I shouldn't have got away with that. It turns well. It stops well. It was good. Oh no. Okay. That was a little bit of a self-correcting or oversteer. I don't know what was going on there, but I wasn't in control of the car all of a sudden. It self-corrects. Okay. It's minor self-correction. It seems to only be at low speeds, but that's still self-correction nonetheless. Ooh, we made it. Starting to get a little better at that one, I would assume. Yeah, unfortunately, this thing is just really slow, and I'm not a fan of it being slow. I can't tell which way is up and down on this track anymore, which sucks, because before you had your speed and momentum were actually like the best factors for this track. But now, that's all... Oh, it... Alright, so it has some minor self-correction, which is not ideal. Let's grab some nitro, shall we? Woohoo! That was entirely... Oh my god, no, 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 no. Don't give me this. Flip, flip, flip. There we go, we're good. I'm just gonna grab some more nitrox, because we need way more. This thing needs more nitrox. I know it's little, so it doesn't look like it should have a lot of nitrox, because it is a tiny vehicle. But it needs more speed then. The nitrox should have way more effect on this, because it is so small. But it just feels heavy. It's weird that this feels heavy and the Sweeper and Diora do not. This shouldn't be as heavy as it is. Nice. Alright, we've got second door. Second door's not the problem. It's just... Yeah, unfortunately without additional nitrox, I don't like this car at all. At low speeds, it's kind of garbage. And the nitrox only puts it to like a decent speed. I'm pretty sure, I think it was Hollowback or Powerbomb was doing this without nitrox. Woo! The self-correcting is not ideal. This is just like a slow battle spec. That's exactly how to sum up this vehicle. This slow battle spec. That probably can't drift, if I'm honest. Like, look how much it just lost all that speed. It's stable though. Like, it is a lot easier to keep this thing stable. But all that nitrox, it still only hits 700. Like, other cars had easily pushed to 1-2. Smooth landing, which is something that Battle Spec does anyway. It has a smooth landing. Don't have time. It lands so nice. This has great downforce. I will give it that much. Beautiful levels of downforce. Just It's so garbage without nitrox, as far as performance goes. Like, it loses so much speed so quickly. Even if you're going downhill, it loses speed. And then going uphill is what we're doing here-ish, I think. I don't know. Somewhere around here we're going uphill. And that's not going to be very ideal in this shitmobile. Just don't be slow, man. This car is great at like 500. I love this car when it hits 500. I don't mind this car at 300, honestly. But once it's below 300, the entire ability to drive seems to deteriorate. Well, since below 350, it just becomes less of a vehicle. Not a fan of that. This needs to zoom, I'll be honest. It needs to have way more speed to it. I feel like nerfing all cars was probably not the best idea when some cars were already slow. And it looks like this is one of those cars that was already really slow. I'm going in a straight line, I can't get over. I can't stay above 300, it's just losing speed too fast. However, still only a 638, even with that being 2 minutes down on that reset. Or a minute and a half. Alright, now here's where we get to start testing, like, the viability of this thing. Rightio, game. If this thing takes corners well, then it's fine. It doesn't matter if it's slow as long as the car is, like, good for driving. Not much bounce, as I said, this thing has great downforce. It's on its wheels quite nicely. Alright. Man, it has a lot of sharp turning ability before it breaks into a drift. Most cars start breaking into a drift after a turn like that. This thing just does not care. I feel like if I do put this thing into a drift, it's going to throw me off the track. Ooh, it was a bit sharp, but it wasn't the end of the world like it is in some cars. This thing is actually really good as a grip car. It's just so slow. Has a lot of control and downforce. Whoa. I'm no expert, but something happened there. Ah. Damn maniac cars. Hey. Turning circle's great. We'll just see how we go for the rest of this track. Honestly, it just takes these corners so nice. I can just fully accelerate. I don't even need to slow down because it just sticks to the corners, and because it already has a top speed of like 260 or 270 or something. Depends. If you're going uphill, that gets drastically lower though. It's slow, and I don't like how slow it is. It's painfully slow. Like here, I'm doing 170. I'm just trying to accelerate, man. It does take these corners quite nicely. Unfortunately, this is a great car for something like Cybergrid, I think. Cybergrid is a low-speed realm with, like, sharp corners. And I feel like that's where this car will excel, is a low-speed realm with sharp corners. Hopefully, Cliffside, despite the fact that it's not a drift vehicle, it should be able to drift pretty darn well. Let's go, you little snowmobile. Now this thing has a lot of downforce, so I actually feel confident just flying off here at full speed. It didn't even catch air. Oh man, if I have to reset, I want to do that faster. Now this is where the self-correction is going to become a problem, so currently I am fighting it, trying to not spin out. Although, it didn't really do a lot. It wasn't as bad as it is in, like, Battle Split, I think. And I think the other one that did it a lot was Baseline? Power Rage. Power Rage was awful for it. But normally I catch drift there, which is insane that I didn't this time. This car is extremely stable and has really good grip. There's a bit of drift there, but it wasn't the end of the world either. The thing is, it's averaging like 200. You gotta watch out for those edges. I feel like this car will probably get thrown by the edges. Like nothing. Not a single bit of skid mark through that corner. Look, it's slow. It is so unbelievably slow, but it is still one of the best handling cars in the game. Alright, there will be no excuses up here. I won't be able to not drift. Whoa. It gets a bit swervy on the brake. That wasn't terrible. Wow, that was. Quick shift to reverse works. Alright. It's not ideal. It's still, despite the fact that its speed is abysmal, and it does have a bit of self-correction on it, its nitrox is amazing. And the weight on the vehicle is actually surprisingly good for a vehicle with no weight to it in its design. Like, where's the weight come from? Monkey's big brain. Jesus Christ. This is a beautifully handling car. Oh. Like, it can only drift for these tight corners, but it does it so nicely. It doesn't need to stay in the drift either. It's not like them Teku drift cars. This thing is fine. It's so controlled. Like, it looks like, you know, with drift you're supposed to look out of control in some ways, but well, this vehicle is so under control. Even there, when I was about to go off the edge, I was able to reverse nitrox and stop myself. It threw me into the air, sure, but this is just an all-round fantastic car. Great downforce. The only question I really have with this is, how well does it take the wind realm? Because if it takes the wind realm really well with all that extra downforce, you might be looking at a car that's worth taking to the Ultimate Race. The only downside is, will you make an hour? I don't think so. Alright, how well is it going to do these? Not very. Unfortunately, self-correction is a problem. So, Ratified. It's self-correcting, which is bad. It has terrible speed, which is bad. But every other aspect of this car, the downforce, the handling, the nitrox, amazing. Brilliant car, just two major faults, and I can't really say for sure if those major faults are damning. Like, they're bad. They are bad. But even with those faults, I reckon if we could do something about that self-correction, throw a few more k's per hour into its acceleration, it'd be a beautiful car. Or if we can just get rid of that self-correction, that'd be good. But hey, that's Ratified. It's good. It's good. Give it a shot.